Today on Around Kansas, Deb encourages us to get outdoors this holiday season and bring some of those items you find along the way back in with you to make Christmas this year. Next, Angie Toews visits with Dan Stockemer in our On the Front Porch segment. Ron Wilson pays tribute to the first Cowtowns, and Michelle Martin is back with the story behind Burnett's Mound in Topeka.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to Around Kansas. I'm Deb Goodrich on this Wednesday before Thanksgiving. My gosh, I just can't believe it. And I am so excited about the holiday getting started. You know, we've got parades coming up. There are just so many wonderful things. Of course, want to remind you once again about Lecompton's Christmas tree exhibit that is up now and will be up through the 1st of January. You know, they started putting the decorations up a little earlier because there's so many people that come to see it. It takes a while to go through it. It is well worth the trip to Lecompton. If you're from a different part of the state, if you're from over in Missouri, up in the corner of Nebraska, it is well worth the trip to Lecompton, and of course there's so much to do. And then while you're in Lecompton, you can visit so many sites in Topeka. You can follow the Freedom Trail, and you can check out all the sites that are a part of Freedom's Frontier National Heritage Area. They're along the eastern border of Kansas and the western border of Missouri. So you can combine your Christmas celebration with history. I sure do. Isn't this a pretty little cup? Remember, we did that segment on cups a few months back, and I have to tell you, I got so many comments on that. And I got so many comments the other day, this cracked me up. I was unpacking my china that had been in storage for a while, and I was unpacking that, and it's just like meeting an old friend. And I posted that picture on Facebook and got so many comments, and I thought it would be all the girls, but no, there were a lot of guys that commented on how pretty it was. I was glad to have some compatriots out there that share my excitement over dishes. I was pretty stunned to realize how many dishes I actually have, so there may be some thinning out. I see a major yard sale coming up in my life in the new year. So what are you guys planning for the holidays? Let me know. Share on our Facebook page. If you've got events coming up at your town, your organization, your museum, let me know. Let everybody around Kansas know. Put those events on our Facebook page. As always, we love sharing your photograph, and we get so many comments on that, and I love sharing not only the beauty that's around Kansas, but the talented people that we have taking photographs and finding what is beautiful all over the state of Kansas. And of course, the seasons are changing, and it will give us an opportunity to get out and enjoy the great outdoors in Kansas. Well, I've got a great show for you today. We have been marking, of course, Native American History Month, and my friend Michelle Martin is back with another great story there. You are going to love this. It is a fabulous story. And as always, all the partners, Ron Wilson, KFRM, We have so many people that contribute to making this show great, and I am very thankful for each and every one of them, and I'm very thankful for each and every one of you that watch each week. We'll be right back.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if your cattle get out, you could be held liable for that? Call me. Let's have a discussion. 316-945-6733.
My name's Karen Cope and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before, because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
I don't know what you all did on Thanksgiving. I know a lot of people watch football and just get together and play games with the family, but my fondest memories of Thanksgiving Day were getting out after the dinner was had, and in the South that meant lunchtime. So after dinner we went to the woods, and we would take tow sacks with us, and we would fill tow sacks with greenery and pine cones and just all kinds of things that we would use for Christmas decorations. And those are some of my fondest memories. And I know that a lot of you will be out searching for the perfect Christmas tree. So I thought that we would, again, talk about getting outdoors, and we'd go look for Christmas trees tomorrow. How about that? Folks used to decorate for Christmas or other holidays with things at hand, whatever the land had to offer. Depending on where you were, you might have had greenery, or you might have had grapevines. You might have had a symmetrical spruce, or you might have had a tree-shaped arrangement of antlers, scraps of ribbon, threaded popcorn, cinnamon sticks, and dried apples. Decorations were homemade and simple. When I was a child in the Blue Ridge Mountains, we piled into Granny's kitchen for the traditional Southern Thanksgiving dinner: turkey, cornbread dressing, sweet potato pie. Sometimes the men went hunting, and the women and children went on a different hunting spree, hunting for the materials from which we would make Christmas. Granny was the most creative person I ever met. Daddy said she could paint a room with an empty bucket. She took the simplest of elements and made something beautiful. We headed for the damp woods and gathered pine cones, running cedar, laurel leaves, just whatever struck our fancy, and Granny showed us how to turn them into something special. When I struck out on my own and made Christmas, I carried some of her creativity with me. One year I took bare tree limbs, spray painted them white, and added red satin balls and clear white lights. It was revolutionary and so simple. I loved the lines of the limbs, those graceful branches. The point is, we made Christmas,
and found Christmas in the making of it. The walks through the woods, the piling things on the kitchen table, the conversations, the time spent together. Think about making Christmas this year. Take the family away from the television and computer and get outdoors. Collect pine cones and acorns and antler shed and whatever bounty your farm or neighborhood has to offer. Visit the local Christmas tree farms and walk around a bit. Don't get sidetracked by making something perfect. Instead, make it beautiful and real, and make it from what lies just beyond your door. Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun. For a few weeks each year, historic Lecompton turns into a living Christmas village as dozens of volunteers, thousands of ornaments, and hundreds of trees come together to transform the Territorial Capitol Museum into a Christmas postcard. The spirit of Christmas engulfs the town and all who visit.
Merry Christmas from historic Lecompton!
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Dan Stockemer, a former financial specialist and owner and operator of Prairie Hill Vineyard, talked to us today about how he fulfilled a promise to his late wife and how the business continues to grow, prosper, and give back.
Well, interestingly enough, as I was saying, I was in the securities business. I did a bond issue for Friends University at the time, building a building for a residential, it was a place for people to live adjoining the university there. And they had a degree completion program, so I learned everything about the university. And we did, I think, a $5 million bond issue. And so I went back to the university for a little over a year and completed. I had a number of different college courses I had taken through the years, and I ended up getting a degree in human resources management, which was just a good degree to have doing what I do, which is generally working with people. So what happened in the course of that time, that went on into the securities business, I certainly still enjoyed being on the farm. And what happened when I came home to Kansas, I started working on making the property beautiful. And what really started the vineyard was my wife, Mary, at the time, didn't really want to move to Kansas. She wanted to stay in Sonoma County, which is gorgeous out there. It's really beautiful. It has hundreds of wineries, and they're all lovely. And so I basically told her, I said, honey, I promise I'll plant a vineyard when I get back to Kansas, and we'll make it look like Sonoma County. So I did, and we started planting grapes about 2002, and ever since then we've been either working with grapes, replanting grapes, but then we've added all kinds of bushes and trees, additional buildings, and I've put in various different lots of rocks over, I guess, 350, 400 tons of beautiful limestone that I've taken out of the Flint Hills and placed in here. And we have made it into a spot now that instead of cows coming out of it in the morning, we can have weddings on the weekends or corporate events during the week. And the last couple years we've been doing that. This last year was the first full-time year, and this year we're completely booked with weddings from April through October. And so we find ourselves now in the enviable position, in my opinion, of having to host all these lovely, wonderful couples that are having the most wonderful day of their life. We get to have them out here and be a part of their celebration.
Now let's talk about the knowledge of the vines and the grapes. Some of that you picked up in when you were living in California, but does that just come from experience and trial and error?
Well, that's a good question. Yes, viticulture is a whole nother learning curve like any other form of agriculture. And so I lived on a vineyard out there for 4 years. I lived in town, some of the in front of what is today Coppola's winery out in Alexander Valley, was at that time Chateau Souverain. I got to know the winemaker, and we helped pick grapes after their main harvest. It was called second harvest, and make wine. So I learned a lot just living in the middle of wine country. They'd have a grange there. We'd go down and have dinner with the local farmers, and most all the farmers were grape growers or fruit growers because that climate is so conducive for that. And so I ended up learning about it, living there. And when I came back, I joined the Kansas Grape Growers Association, and I learned a huge amount by just working with the grape growers here in Kansas on the varietals that work well here in Kansas. Learned it also just by putting them in the ground and seeing how they work.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind, and we're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com. This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
Howdy folks, I'm Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate. The cowboy really came alive in legend at the time of the great cattle drives, and the goal of the Texas drovers was to get to Abilene. This poem is in honor of the first cowtown. One of the first cowtowns the world had ever seen was the little community known as Abilene. It all began after the Civil War here with the man for beef from the western frontier. A livestock dealer named Joseph McCoy helped bring about the American cowboy. He saw longhorns in Texas running free, and he knew what an opportunity these could be. McCoy looked for a place with grass and water abiding where he could build a big railroad siding. He traveled through Kansas on a railroad route west in search of a town that would suit his request, and when he got to the city of Abilene, he found a place which he had foreseen. It became a cattle shipping point henceforth for Texas drovers bringing cattle north. Thousands of longhorns came up the Chisholm Trail to the city of Abilene to meet the rail. The money flowed and cowboys got wild until the local folks got riled. So in time the cattle trade moved west in the Texas cattle rancher's quest. But in the history of the West, the name still resounds. Abilene, Kansas, one of the first cow towns. Happy trails.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
For a few weeks each year, historic Lecompton turns into a living Christmas village as dozens of volunteers, thousands of ornaments, and hundreds of trees come together to transform the Territorial Capitol Museum into a Christmas postcard. The spirit of Christmas engulfs the town and all who visit.
Merry Christmas from historic Lecompton.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Supply. This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
One of the most enduring legends in Topeka is that of Burnett's Mound and its association with the 1966 F5 tornado that ripped through the town. My friend Michelle Martin is back to share this incredible story with us and talk a little bit about the man behind the name. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Deb. Today we will explore a tornado, a mound, and a Potawatomi man and how they are connected in Kansas history. On the evening of June 8, 1966, an ashen-faced Bill Curtis took to the television airwaves and exclaimed, "For God's sake, take cover," to warn the residents of Topeka that a tornado had jumped Burnett's Mound and was headed their direction. How could this be? The mound, according to local Native American oral tradition, was supposed to protect the city from tornadoes. Before it was Burnett's Mound, this rise in the land south of town was called Webster's Mound. Only when its most famous inhabitant arrived was it renamed. Abram Burnett was born near the Tippecanoe River in Indiana in 1812. His given name was Nanweshma, he who prays with plants. He was educated near Fort Wayne, Indiana at a Baptist mission run by the Reverend Isaac McCoy. He served McCoy as a translator in the 1820s, and this skill served him and his people well. As a young man, Nanweshma, along with other Potawatomi, were forced to move west to the Indian Territory on the Potawatomi Trail of Death in 1838. The people suffered greatly along the way. His first wife died shortly after their arrival in southeast Kansas. In 1843, he married a German immigrant named Marie. By 1848, Nanweshma, Marie, and their growing family settled near the base of Webster's Mound. He was a successful farmer. He sold and traded horses and served his people as a hereditary chief. The mound near his home was renamed Burnett's Mound during his lifetime owing to his notoriety. Over the years, he was known to be a snappy dresser, but he still maintained many Potawatomi traditions, including wearing moccasins and wrapping himself in a blanket. Nanweshma was also known for his stature. At the time of his death on June 14, 1870, he was said to be the largest man in Kansas, topping the scales at 450 pounds. When A.F. Whiting made his coffin of black walnut. He said it was twice the size of any he had made before. Stories began to circulate after Nunweshma's death that he buried treasure near his cabin. Looters and grave robbers began digging in earnest, but never found any riches. Others began to dig in the cemetery where Nunweshma and other locals were buried near the mound. Eventually, the mound itself was reshaped to make way for roads and a water tower atop its peak. Perhaps later residents forgot the most important part of the native oral tradition. Desecrating the mound in any way rendered its protective powers useless. Now you know how a tornado, a mound, and Nunweshma are connected in Kansas history. I look forward to seeing you next time on another historical journey around Kansas.
Once again, so thankful to share my Wednesday mornings with you, and wishing each and every one of you, from all of us here at Ag AM and around Kansas, a very blessed Thanksgiving. And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.